Barack and Michelle Obama have come home. A center dedicated to the nation's first black president and first lady is set to open on Chicago's South Side. Tonight, a sneak peek. Let's get to the point.
From Chicago's very own, with WGN political editor Tahman Bradley, this is The Point.
Good evening. Chicago's Jackson Park has been remade. It's now home to the Obama Presidential Center, a marvelous 19-acre campus housing a 225-foot museum honoring America's first black president. The center has that new construction look and smell ahead of the doors opening to the public on June 19th. The Obama Presidential Center campus grows out of Jackson Park. The $850 million project connects buildings and public spaces.
We want everyone to come and freely enjoy it. When the construction fence comes down, I think people don't realize it right now because the fencing is still up. When that comes down, you will be able to just walk across Stony Island and be right in the middle of the John Lewis Plaza. You know, come across, be able to go into the restaurant, go to the Chicago Public Library, relax on the lawn, take a walk around the water walkway.
Museum visitors are greeted by this sculpture of Barack and Michelle Obama. It depicts them walking on Inauguration Day 2009. It's already become a destination for people who want to take selfies or make videos.
From the very beginning, the president was very intentional about what he wanted this Obama Presidential Center to represent to community. There were a number of community meetings that took place where people had the opportunity to provide their input. I think that one of the things that community said when there was discussion of a parking garage is that they didn't want a big, large parking above ground garage that would, I guess they felt would not be best for community. And that's why we invested the money to build the parking garage underground. 40% of the buildings are actually underground, covered by landscaping so that it blends in better into the larger kind of Jackson Park presentation. The other thing is that other than the 4 floors that you have to pay for admission to get into with the museum, every other place on the campus is free.
The museum spans 4 floors of an 8-level structure. Art is everywhere. Level 2 is a journey through history. Visitors learn about the country's founding, slavery, the fight for women's rights, equal rights, workers' rights. There's also a nod to beginnings. Attention is paid to Barack and Michelle Obama's early years, their marriage and family. The story of Campaign 2008, a junior senator's rise to the Democratic nomination for president and victory on Election Day, is told in myriad ways. Level 3 explores the big moments of President Obama's 2 terms, the economic crisis to recovery, the Affordable Care Act, the end of combat operations in Iraq. The First Lady's initiatives are also on full display. The People's House, sure to be a fan favorite. You can tour a replica of the Oval Office and even sit at the Resolute desk. The 5th level, a nod to equity and inclusion, gives visitors the chance to focus on themselves. There's a story booth where people can leave a message that will be shared with others, perhaps even the Obamas, organizers say. Level 8 is the Sky Room, featuring a spectacular panoramic view of Chicago. Visitors look through 5-foot concrete letters drawn from President Obama's commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery marches. The center will have public programming and an invitation for people to meet and exchange ideas.
It's about the creation of this space that whether you are from South Shore or South Korea, it is a space that is welcoming. It is a space that I have defined as the new living room of the city of Chicago because it fits so perfectly with Olmsted's designs of Jackson Park in New York Central Park and Trafalgar Park in London. It is the creating of these spaces that allow for people to come together and to be able to share in these spaces and to have these extraordinary experiences. So I think that the Presidential Center campus has accomplished what it set out to do, and that is to make this a very welcoming space for everyone.
A block south of the museum sits Home Court, a multi-purpose facility with an NBA regulation-sized basketball court. A reminder, the Obama Center is more than just a presidential library. We're back in 60 seconds. In the final hours of the legislative session, Illinois lawmakers approved a plan to give rideshare drivers something they've long lobbied for, the right to form a union. If signed by the governor, the bill will impact more than 100,000 rideshare drivers across the state. It would allow drivers to negotiate over wages, safety protections, and better working conditions. Ronnie Gonzalez is a leader with the Illinois Drivers Alliance. Welcome to The Point.
Thank you for having me.
100,000 drivers will now have the ability to form a union. Forming a union gets those drivers what?
A voice on the job and, a seat at the table when decisions are made about their workplace conditions, wages, and benefits.
Let's talk a little bit about what needs to happen in terms of getting the drivers organized now. The legislation has passed. How will that work? Because they'll still be independent contractors.
Correct. This legislation doesn't change their status as an independent contractor. The organization will work to get 10% of the eligible drivers. That will entitle the organization to the list from the driver of all eligible drivers. And once we submit 30% of eligible drivers, then we can become certified as the exclusive representative for the drivers in the state.
In this instance, who's the company? Who do they work for? Will the drivers be able to get health care benefits, dental?
So the legislation speaks of multiple points of mandatory subjects of bargaining: wages, deactivation process, arbitration, grievance procedure, and benefits is one of those items, yes.
So then potentially they would have health care under this provided by Uber, for example, Lyft?
All part of the negotiations to hammer out and see how we land.
To be determined. All right. The deactivation, how big of a problem is that? I've not been driving for a month because of whatever reason, and then whatever rideshare just says I'm not in the network anymore?
So aside from wages, deactivations is one of the largest problems that we've heard from drivers over the years. There's thousands of stories and multiple degrees of each story. So one of the latest things that happened in the state of Illinois, Secretary of State, if you've gone and got your license recently, when it expires, you get a paper copy. You don't get the hard copy anymore. And so drivers would go and renew their license and walk away from the DMV with a piece of paper that was a temporary license accepted by police officers and anybody that needs to see it. But the next morning after their birthday with an expired driver's license, they would take a picture of that and upload it per the app. You're supposed to do that, And the Uber was not, or none of the rideshare companies were accepting that document as official, and they were calling it fraudulent and actually deactivating drivers. But aside from that, that was a recent issue that popped up, and the department made a change, and the companies just weren't able to react quick enough, and it caused an unfortunate circumstance. But additionally, lots of drivers face false accusations, and they just wake up one morning and they're deactivated, and their sole source of income is now turned off, and their only appeal process is to go through the chatbot on the app and try and fix it themselves. And
yeah, you might need legal representation, or you'd have an advocate who would take up that case for you. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you went about getting this legislation passed and the organizing and meeting with lawmakers, convincing them to go along with this.
Yeah, so we've been working for quite a while with this legislation. We worked with a team out east in Massachusetts that passed theirs. Our beginning legislation started off from basically their red line version. So we had something that we knew that would work. And the legislative process was SEIU, Local 1, and the machinists have come together to form the Illinois Drivers Alliance. And we've spent January through May bringing drivers down every Wednesday that the legislators were in session and had the legislators hear the stories firsthand from our drivers, telling them, the different grievances they have and the real situations of what it's like to be on the street. And I really think that had a meaningful impact on the legislators.
How big of a threat to Waymo and autonomous vehicles?
Yeah, that's the next challenge, to only get this victory and then have it replaced by autonomous vehicles. So we definitely have our eye on that and want to make sure that we have a seat at that table as well.
I'm wondering if forming a union will help with standards, because some people complain that people who drive rideshare sort of do it as a hobby, and it's not like cab drivers who made it a profession, they just sort of stop abruptly in the middle of the street without hazards on, don't learn the quickest route or whatever. So will being in a union help with that at all?
Well, our understanding of the industry is 80% of the rides are done by 20% of the drivers. There is a fair market of hobbyists, as you say, but we believe that the large majority of drives are provided by seasoned drivers that actually consider this a career. And if you make any workers' workplace conditions, wages better, they're a happier worker. A happier worker is a more stable platform. It's better for the company, the passengers, and the workers.
Ronnie Gonzalez, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in. Obama Center to shout out this masterpiece by artist Mark Bradford. It's 38 foot tall. It's a painting called The City of the Big Shoulders. We could have picked just about anything from the center. It is a sight to behold. And that is The Point. I'm Tahman Bradley. Patrick Elwood is back with more news tonight at 9 o'clock. Good night.